Today I'm going to be demonstrating to you how to hand build, using some slabs, a simple ceramic pumpkin. And this video is intended for beginning ceramic artists, so I'm going to be explaining step by step how you go about doing this. To start off the pumpkin, I take a little bowl and I cover it with plastic wrap. I want to take my slab, and it's about 1/4 of an inch thick slab. So I'm going to slowly bring it in to the bowl. Now sometimes if we have an excessive buildup of clay, you can make a slice. So I'm going to overlap, and then I'm going to cut some of this off. Now if I have some areas that are excessively long, then I can go ahead and trim that off here. I'm kind of just spinning it here, and I'm cupping my hands, and I'm pushing this way with my hands to get this nice and round. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just trim off any of this extra pieces here, and then I'm going to set this aside. I'll make the other side. I'm going to pull it off the bowl just gently. I'm going to flip it up. You can put a fan on it. You can put it out in the sun a bit to stiffen up. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place it to dry. What I did was I flipped them over once they set up a bit, and I keep on wetting the edges, but I had them in front of a fan. So the fan was blowing on the inside, so my insides can dry out, and then the outside dries out a bit as well. I'm going to go ahead and really rough up this area. Score up these edges good. You want to slice into them so that the two clays are going to bind really nicely together. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to slip up this with some real thick slip. And if you add vinegar into your slip, it seems to help. So I'm going to go ahead and place this here on top. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my really wet, and I had them under a damp towel, so I can just put it on my seam here. And I'm tapping them in. Now you could have, especially for beginners, inside this, you could put some newspaper. So I'm lightly tapping this seam here, and then where they overlap, I'm just pulling it off. So I'm just gently blending this in. You can see how soft that coil is. This will end up being slightly oblong. So I'm tapping and cupping my hand. I'm letting just the weight of this kind of toss it back and forth. And that's just helping with these molecules and binding them together. So I'm just pushing this in lightly. And it's baby steps. You kind of do it little by little by little, so that you don't smash anything in. Just slowly working those shapes together. And by doing this, the weight of it is helping that seam push those molecules together. And you're kind of blending one area and into the other, going from bringing this in and then coming back. You don't want to do it all in just one direction. You want them to blend both ways. So I'm going to decide which side I want the top to be. I may make the top a little bit thinner, so I'm going to roll it here so it's more of kind of an oblong. So I'm going to change the shape here a little bit. just by pressing here as I roll. And by pressing in like this, I'm making it pointed a little bit. And so now I'm going to open up my bottom here. And I'm just going to slice in here to get my bottom. So now I have access to my seams. And I really want to blend in this seam on the inside here, which is real important. Now, sometimes you can even reach in here with your hand too and get it nice and smooth. And I'm going to smooth out, just wetting my hands a bit. Just going to smooth out my surface a little bit more. And now I'm going to start thinking about doing my vertical stripes coming down. So I'm going to take my top now, smoothing everything out nicely. And I kind of want an indent here for the pumpkin. So I'm just tapping it gently for the pumpkin stem. Like so, as it comes in. And again, pumpkins aren't, perfectly shaped. So this is a great beginning project because you don't have to be perfect. It can be lumpy and bumpy. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do these grooves. So you can either take your finger, which I'm going to start with my finger, and I'm just going to start with one groove coming down, like so, and just kind of pressing in. You can even do a tool like this, just tapping it in. And I'm going to go slow. So I'm doing one here, and then I'm going to do one on the opposite side. I'm just gently pressing the clay in. So I'm going to do one there, and then I think I'll do one here, one here. And if you have to measure this out, you can. I'm going to do one here and one here. There. So I'm going to do, I think it's 6 grooves. So that's my groove here. And this is slowly. I'm slowly getting in my groove. So I'm just adding water. And these can be done as pronounced as you want, or they can be just slightly indented in. But the key is to work it slow, because if you just go pressing real hard, you're going to get some cracking. I'm doing 2 at the same time here, just to save time. I do want to kind of over accentuate the grooves, though. I think that kind of a pumpkin's really cool. I'm going to work the stem up. I'm going to go ahead and just roll out a coil, having it thinner at one end and then thicker at another. And then I'm going to cut this off here, and then I'm going to open it up so that it can be attached like so. I'm also going to slice in some grooves. So I'm just gonna add some texture here. Just kind of pressing in. And then I'll twist it. And then I can just give it a pretty twist. And then just a slight twist, and it'll be a pretty shape to go on the pumpkin. Like so. And I'm going to attach the tip area also on the pumpkin, because that's the area that tends to break. So that'll be attached on to the pumpkin base. And I'll show you, I put some coils on the bottom just to raise it up a little bit off the kiln. That way this can all be glazed. What I'm doing is the leaves, so I rolled a ball, and then I'm kind of pressing it into a football shape here. And then what I'm going to do is place it onto this leaf I had made. out of some clay, and then I fired it. I just pressed in a real leaf. And now I can take my clay and rub it onto this, and it will get some of these cool veins. And the leaf I used was a hollyhock leaf, but you can use any leaf you want. And I've got some really cool leaf textures. And you can keep it this organic shape, or you can even cut it, you know, to a proper pumpkin shape leaf. I'm just going to kind of give it a little bit more character on the edges and end with a little bit of a point here. And then I'm going to just kind of rub it in and smooth out my edges. I give it a fun little curve, maybe tip up, have something tip up, and see how I've curved this in a little bit just to make it so that it's not so flat. Now I'm going to attach the stem, and I am going to put a hole in here. I'm always cautious and hollowing it out so it dries faster. This is pretty wet, but I'm still scoring and slipping. And then definitely scoring this. And then I'm using my real thick slip. And then I'm going to put thick slip on this. And then I'm going to place this. And then I'm going to score and slip this little area here where it's going to attach. It twists up, and then it attaches again. Okay, so here's what it looks like on the side. Blending it in really nicely. Now I'm pressing in some of these lines back again. I'm going to put a leaf on. So I'm going to just position them. I'm going to do it like this. Small and then a large one, like so. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to attach it with some slip, sealing a few of the edges where they touch. Inside here, I scratched in some texture, and this will just be a underglaze that I'm having here, so it's not even going to be glazed, but it'll just add something fun. Here is the finished pumpkin, and then the bottom, just fun, just a little vine on the bottom, and then the top. And of course I've got to clean it all up and have some fun painting it. But that's how you make a simple little pumpkin out of slabs.